Good evening. Leading our news bulletin for tonight, a freak accident on Sunday afternoon has left a family from Alofi North mourning the loss of a 5-year-old child. The island is still in shock as the community comes to terms with the loss of such a young life. The child is alleged to have been electrocuted whilst playing indoors. She was rushed to the Niue hospital not long after, and doctors attempted to resuscitate her. Niue Police and the Health Department have not been able to release the cause of death at this point out of respect for the family. This unfortunate and tragic accident serves as a warning to all households to ensure that any electrical appliances or faulty wiring are reported and repaired. Yesterday, the Niue Primary School was closed half-day to pay their respects to their young student. A church service was held at the Alofi Ecclesia at 2 in the afternoon before she was laid to rest at her family home in Alofi North. We would like to extend our sincerest condolences to the Pao and Lakatani families for their loss. Last Saturday, the new Miss Teen Niue and Miss Niue were crowned in front of a packed crowd at the multi-purpose hall. But on Friday, the judging began with the first official public event at the commercial centre, where contestants were given 2 minutes to present a pitch on 2 topics. For the Miss Teens, they had to talk on the topic, I want to be rich, but I live on an island. And the Miss Niue contestants, I want to be Miss Niue, but I don't like competition. The Miss Charity event managed to collect $3,939.50, and the most popular contestant with the most votes went to Miss Leviatana Nina Nemaya. The final showcase on Saturday evening had many people on the edges of their seats, but for those who didn't make it in time before the doors were closed, they had to make do with standing on top of vehicles outside to catch a glimpse. On the evening, there were 4 categories. Firstly, the creative freshwear, followed by the Pario beachwear section with creative ties, displaying of talents, and the final category, the cultural wear and questions. There was an array of colours and lots of cheering and coaxing by the crowd, but in the end, there could only be one winner. In the Miss Teen section, the newly crowned Miss Teen Niue is Tahufe Lilibeth Tupehiva Dakota Paho. Runner-up Miss Teen Leviatana Molina Taufalele. In the Miss Niue section, Miss Niue title went to Miss Leviatana Nina Erica Nemaya. First runner-up Miss Private Sector Michelle Marsh. Second runner-up Miss Niue Aotearoa Eden Tapuosi. Other prizes on the night were divided into 3 categories: the Tokasha Edwards Award, the Niuen Performing Arts Award, the Traditional Creative Cultural Wear Award. Although the placings were announced, prizes were not distributed on the evening. A ceremony will be held sometime this week for the prizes to be distributed. A joint National Action Plan, or JNAP, for Pacific countries is set to be a first ever collaboration by any region in the world. Within each country is a national action plan, and Niue's progress, says Honourable Premier Taketa Langi, is also prioritised to address issues identified within the plan.
When we initially discussed this, I'm not sure whether the joint national action plans were being considered, but I'm certain that they would have recognised the same things that we saw. For example, and the other thing, of course, with respect to that is that everybody seems in the region, every institution in the region appears to be now involved with climate change because there are financial resources available.
It's great to see that government is prioritising those areas of climate change and disaster. But as you look at a lot of the Pacific Islands, government's climate change and disaster risk management is low on the priority list. Is Niue approaching this and prioritising it because of the financial resources that we can get from them?
Well, it's partly that, but it's also partly because of the fact that there are things that have been caused by climate change that have impacted upon us. You can't ignore that, and therefore it's important for us to utilise those resources that are made available to enable us to mitigate and adapt to climate change. This is a no-brainer. It's not as if these things are not happening at the present moment. They are happening. And fortunately, there are financial resources to enable us. Let me also say that it also helps the operational recurrent budget, because we can divert people to work in these particular projects and take time off to enable them to do that.
Many of the delays, says Premier Tahalangi, is the need for departments involved and government to ensure each project is properly implemented and managed.
One of the other things that we started to recognise is the fact that if we were to execute all of these projects and programs that have been approved with the funds allocated, we wouldn't be able to do it. And we needed, therefore, to have a matrix, which is now being put in place, to show us what we can do, how we should be doing it, and when they should be done, so that it's done systematically and well. There are projects at the present moment that have been approved for 3 or 4 years that have not been executed. And I'm very concerned about those. And I've asked the departments concerned to come up with a project to enable us to achieve that.
The Joint Pacific Action Plan is due to be discussed and agreed upon in Fiji next month, where an expected number of 800 participants and observers from around the world gather to witness a first ever joint plan for disaster and climate change. The rubbish dump site at Tafalalo should be closed, according to the waste management team. According to the waste contractor, there are only 2 official dumping sites on the island that should be used, which they use, and those are located in Vaea and Mutalo. However, that could be easier said than done, as attempts to close the Tafalalo site previously resulted in people dumping rubbish along the side of the road near the site. Honourable Toketalangi, who was also Minister for Environment, said there are provisions in place to address the issue of waste.
We've recognised the problem. We recognise the fact that the amount of rubbish that we have now collected is in relation to the number of people who are here on the island with tourism and so on. So success in tourism numbers coming through is also creating for us a problem. And I think it was last year that we looked at what we can do to set up a recycling processing facility to enable us to process all the rubbish we have at the island so we don't fill the landfills that we are doing at the present moment. We know that there are projects out there that we can obtain financial resources to help us. And we're in the process at the present moment of sifting through some of these to determine which is the best approach to hasten the process of getting approvals and getting this plant up and running as quickly as possible.
The Falalo site has received numerous concerns from locals because it is overflowing with rubbish and waste that should not be dumped at the site. Premier Tahalangi said Niue has received an approval from one of its donors to assist with waste management.
The Australians have indicated that they may be interested in providing funding, and I'm very keen to continue to talk to them. But there are also projects in the region that assists with respect to this, because of the waste is such a major issue, not just for us, but the atolls that are out there contaminating water and so on. And this is my biggest concern. It's a contamination of water and contamination of the environment underneath us that we don't know, as well as the sea and the reefs that we don't know. So therefore, the sooner we can get ourselves a waste management facility for processing all our waste, better it is.
However, the official spokesperson in charge of the waste project was not available to receive more information today. The hope is that Niue will follow the regional efforts to minimize pollution from open dump sites like that of Tafalalo. Hakupu Show Day on Saturday proved the annual event is still much alive and popular, with many patrons packing to Asea grounds. The event made more popular with the throng of Hakupu visitors who arrived to extra events and those who purposely make the trip to take part in the village show day. Hakupu Member of Parliament and Honourable Young Vivian reminded the visitors of the importance of cooperation and encouraged the participation of all Hakupu residents in embracing the development of the village. With plenty of food stalls, displays and sporting activities, every showgoer had a little impressive tale to tell of the day. In remembrance of some of the residents that have passed, the families and village acknowledged their connection to the village with activities dedicated to their memories. Honourable Premier Takatalangi also made reference to the developments thus far of village councils and the government's efforts to continue village activities and developments. One of the elderly visitors said she is pleased she made the effort to travel back for an event that has also included the show day. Hakupu Day showed other villages need to up their tempo to outdo the second day or show day of the year that had all the makings of the best show day for 2013. Niue Tourism's first ladies fishing competition got off without a hitch last Saturday, with 13 keen fisherwomen taking up the challenge to catch the big one. With 7 overseas competitors and 6 locals out on the water, it made for some great competition. In day 1, the heaviest wahoo caught, weighing in at 24 kilos, was reeled in by Nikki Sinden. The heaviest other fish was a 6.3 kilo barracuda caught by Candice Lawson, winning the total weight for 4 wahoos, weighing in a total of 49.1 kilograms, went to Sonia Tafatu. The second day of competition, which was yesterday, had 9 overseas competitors and 4 locals. The heaviest wahoo went to Fufu Talangi with 24.2 kilos. Heaviest other fish was a 5 kilogram mahi-mahi caught by Shona Beach. Total weight with 8 wahoos, weighing in 110.8 kilos, went to Pauline Blumsky. Today marked the last day for competition, despite the weather turning a bit sour. Final results will be received on Thursday. However, interesting enough, the ladies' competition, a total of 602.8 kilograms of fish was caught, in comparison to the 514.9 kilograms caught during the Black Heart fishing tournament that had twice as many anglers. This goes to show that it really is about how the conditions are out there, and the results for today won't be given until Thursday evening's prize giving that will be held at our Lena's restaurant. And those are our news stories that we have for you this evening.